Guys, I have made a mistake. So I woke up kind of late today, and now I'm filming garden tour in the middle of the day when it is the hottest it's going to be today. But if I don't, you guys are not going to get a garden tour on time. So I'm going to go out there and brave the heat just for you. In my basket today, I've got a few potatoes. I'm going to plant out a second round of potatoes. It's a little late for that, but you know, I'm all about kind of pushing boundaries and continuing to try. There's technically still enough time, but it's going to be kind of close. Luckily, I have this tree which shades the garden for a good portion of the afternoon, so most of the tour doesn't have to be in the sun. Everything is looking so good overall. Harvests are starting to roll in, and I am officially overwhelmed with the burden of abundance, taking care of all of this produce. You're going to start seeing things fall off my list, like for example this beautiful lemongrass here. I haven't done a single thing with. It's not urgent, but I definitely could be doing things with it, and I'm not. Luckily, ginger here is taking care of itself. It doesn't need any attention until I pull it. Basils could probably go ahead and cut some more for pesto. You see how they're starting to flower? That's a good indication that it's time to start cutting them back. You want to prevent your basil from flowering to kind of preserve the flavor of it. This one, you can see I've waited too long. It has definitely started flowering. Farther down, we've got some. Ooh, I just ran into a little spider web. Farther down, we have some tomatoes that really need to get pulled, like this one, for example. Wow, that's a really good looking Amish paste tomato, real chunky. I've been making lots of tomato stuff. I'd made regular tomato sauce. I made some curried tomato preserves. I also made some cacciatore simmer sauce. All of these recipes are in the Ball Book of Canning, except for the tomato sauce, which I get from an Italian grandpa on YouTube. I can link the recipe I use below. I really like it, and the Italian grandpa is so cute. You can see I've still got some green tomatoes on these plants, so they are not done producing just yet, but they're definitely starting to slow down, I would say. The heat here usually means that some of these blossoms are not going to set fruit, and that's pretty normal for tomatoes to stop setting fruit when it gets really hot. But look at that, it's still trying to make flowers. I'm also starting to pull purple beans from these plants. I have 2 running along here with the tomatoes. I was trying for 3, but one of them didn't make it. I think 2 might still be enough though. It'll be interesting to see. And this harvest is later this year than it was last year because I just put them in a little late. Look at these baby beans, they're so cute. It looks like I will have plenty of beans here very soon. Coming over to the next row to look at the tomatillos, I definitely have had a lot of fruits drop that were either half-eaten or really tiny for no reason. I don't know why that is, but I am still getting a fair amount of very well-ripened fruit. Like, look at this. This one is huge. It is actually splitting. I feel like, yeah, it comes right off. I'm getting really good fruits like this in between all the ones that aren't doing so good. So I'm just kind of taking the losses and appreciating what I am getting because I am going to get enough. I'm going to walk over here and kind of look at this section from the shade because I can. We've got lots of lovely zinnias blooming. I picked a bunch of the prettiest ones for a bouquet last night. There's still so many more. And back there, they're harder to see, but there's still a few cosmos blooming over there. And then in this area, we move into eggplant, which are producing pretty steadily as far as the Chinese string eggplants. And these plants are not even half the size I think they will be by the frost, which where I live in South Carolina, the estimated frost date is November 4th. So we've still got quite a ways to go. It is, I looked earlier this morning, 95 days until our frost, which is why I think I might still be able to get away with potatoes. But definitely still like 3 good months of frost-free growing to get these eggplants kind of up and producing even more. Because farther down the line, you can see I have some plants that haven't started fruiting yet. These ones in particular are looking really healthy, but haven't fruited yet. And I think I saw them making little flower buds. Yeah, over here you can see the tiniest little buds that are going to be flowers. So hopefully I will get some of these eggplants soon. I've got a couple of sweet peppers right up here, and this is going to be my first sweet pepper turning red. You can see it's starting to look a little brown right now. That is the same as like a tomato blushing. It's just now starting to turn, which is super exciting. You can see all these other fruits up here, and this plant probably, which started producing around the same time, will start turning its first fruits very soon. And then by the time I am harvesting those, there will be a ton more over there getting ready, and it'll all kind of come in at once. Oh my goodness, look at this corn. This is, let's see. This is like bottom of my hip height corn already, going absolutely crazy. And here I was thinking that I wouldn't get corn if I planted too late. So glad that I tried, because this is going really, really well. We've got marigolds back here. These 2 squashes, I decided not to pull either of them because none of the other ones over here came up, so I can kind of direct this one that way and have this one kind of go this way under the corn, and hopefully they won't really compete too hard with each other, because they are vining and they will make more roots as they go along, so it's not like they're trying to pull all of their nutrients from this one spot. And maybe I'll put a couple more potato plants back there. We'll see. The plan right now is to put them where all the dead poppies are. I was looking at that spot trying to figure out what I was going to do, and then I saw some of my potatoes starting to sprout, and I was like, yeah, that's what I'm going to do at that spot. I try to be a really organized person generally, but often what happens is I'm just kind of like flying by the seat of my pants, letting things happen and hoping they turn out for the best. And I hope you guys find that encouraging, that like my garden can still look like this even if I'm not like the most organized, intentional person in the world. By the way, look at these seeds forming under there. Surprised the birds haven't really gotten to them yet. Anyway, look at my trellis. It is starting to look so good. You can see everything up here really vining, going to town, and the ones on this side are already halfway up the trellis. Actually, no, this one goes all the way up to here. That's more than halfway up. And this one is from the other side already. We do have noodle beans coming in. I've already picked some because they grow so fast. Like the ones that had just barely set fruit last week that y'all saw were already big enough to pull like 2 days ago. So something like 5 days from flower set, from like this size to this size. Beans go really fast, which is a good reason to recommend them to new gardeners, because especially with something small like bush beans, you can get a harvest pretty quickly out of them, and it makes you feel really accomplished, and that sort of accomplishment can help you feel better about stuff that will take longer, like tomatoes and peppers. I've got my 3rd cucumber right here. Picked the first 2. They were delicious. So I know about what size they should be now, and this is actually pretty close to what I'm looking for. Here's one that's a lot smaller, and it looks like this plant is still putting on. There's another baby up there. It is getting ravaged a little bit by these yellow things. I get these every year. I don't know what they're called, but they do like to destroy cucumbers specifically. They don't come for other squashes as far as I've seen. My plan with that right now is I don't currently have a plan. Really, it hasn't been bad enough for me to feel like I have to intervene. I will like squish them when I see them, but that's about it. The thing that I would recommend to do if I had more mental energy would be to figure out what they are, figure out what eats them, and figure out how to get more of the thing that eats them in my garden. And right under the trellis, I've been keeping these strawberry transplants. They look pretty sad, but I think that's because I left them out in full sun right after I transplanted them. So I scooted them over to the shade here. And you can see most of them have these like new leaves that are looking pretty good, even though some of these bigger ones are looking really sad. So I think a majority of these transplants are going to survive. I know they look bad on camera, but they honestly don't look that bad overall. I think they'll be okay. This second trellis is not nearly as impressive as the first, but you can see we're starting to get a little bit of vining action going on here. That is looking good. These two cucumbers that came up here, they are still here. They're going slow. This one looks like it's about to start taking off actually. You can see it's finally putting out its first little tendrils to start vining up. That's when they really grow pretty fast. I've also got more blue butterfly peas along here, and if we come around and check on the little pumpkin transplant that I got from my friend, it is much less yellow than it used to be, but still not looking the happiest. I think it's still trying to flower, so I'm gonna pull off its little flowers and just hope that it decides to keep making leaves instead. And you know, we'll see how it does. I don't have super high hopes, but he's allowed to try. And look at the pollen pockets on this guy. They're like kind of reddish. Ooh, where's he going? Bees are always just covering all of my flowering plants. It's so nice to see. Alright, back past the trellises, we have the hot pepper patch, which is honestly filling out a lot better than I originally expected. It looks great. I'm starting to see peppers on most of the plants now, and I've been trying to save seeds, but every time I protect a blossom, I forget to come back and make sure that that blossom actually gets pollinated. So some of them have just been falling off and I'm having to retry, but the plan is to save seeds from as many of these as possible. But once again, busy schedule, taking care of the actual produce that's being produced is going to be much higher on that list than saving seeds, unfortunately. I can't wait for all these peppers to start turning, because this area is going to start getting really colorful. Right now we've just got a bunch of green and a little bit of purple back there. But this area is going to look so cool, especially because I have some peppers that stick straight up, like Tabasco, for example. Tabasco always looks like a bunch of colorful flowers when all of the peppers are coming on. So this area back here is where I plan to put the second round of potatoes. Currently there's nothing here besides dead poppies and a sweet potato. So this whole area is like, I don't know, maybe 10 feet or so. It's a pretty good section for potatoes. I'm not necessarily trying to produce a ton of potatoes in that section. I just want to make sure that I have some fresher ones to plant in the spring, so that like all the ones that I have picked already are going to be pretty old by spring, and I don't necessarily trust them to be really good seed stock. Draco is out here being cute, per usual. So farther on down the row we just have a bunch of sweet peppers, and these ones are taking a little bit longer, probably because of the shade, but there are a couple of fruits coming on that I'm pretty excited to see. We also have the second section of corn here, which is obviously much less developed. It might be a combination of the variety. This one is strawberry popcorn, whereas the other one is regular popcorn. And also just the shade. It's so much shadier here than in that other section. A good illustration of that is this basil is the same age as the one that I showed you earlier that was flowering already. And this one isn't even trying to flower. You can look right here at the very tip and see that it's making new leaves and not a little rosette of a flower. And that could just be that it's being kept a little cooler here in the shade, and it's not really being stimulated to flower like the other one is that is in full sun all day. Because it's so hot out, I'm not going to go over out into the sun and do the herb garden and the berry patch. But you know, neither one of those areas really changes very quickly. So, you know, skipping a week, not going to be a lot of stuff that you're missing out on. Mostly I am just picking raspberries right now. Blackberries have kind of slowed down, and strawberries have definitely stopped producing by now. I still have not cleaned up the weeds in that area, but I would like to pretty soon. And just still letting all the herbs exist. The chamomile I pull from pretty regularly, and the rest of them not so much. Look at this baby. He's so cute. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. If you didn't see, last week I reached 10,000 subscribers. Definitely go check out the video I made on that if you're interested in winning a cute little red truck basket. Announcement for that will be on Friday, so you've got, well, really 1 day, 1.5 days, because this is coming out midday on Wednesday. Go check out that video, enter to win, and on Friday we'll find out who's getting the cute little truck. Until next time guys, happy gardening.